And we are live. Welcome, Adam. We have Adam and Luke on this live stream. We're gonna be talking about, RGB Mini LED, PC building experience, and everything that anything you want to talk about. So it's been a long time since we did the last live stream together. So I guess we're gonna have a good discussion conversation. So for those of you who don't know Luke, he is the he was the one who discovered how to remove the matte finish from the QD OLED TVs because he has been doing that for a very long time on all kinds of TVs and display technologies. And Adam, you all know Adam from gaming tech live streams, and we've done many live streams with Adam before. How's it going? Just watching. Hi, Xep4. So yeah, let's talk about mini RGB mini LED, Samsung, all of that. So Luke, you said that you told me you just built a brand new PC, and Adam, you told me you just got a brand new
Yep.
TV. So maybe we can start from there. You want to start, Adam? Maybe.
Well, actually, I have a question for Luke. What inspired you, or what possessed you, rather, to have the guts to take that film off that TV? How did you get there?
Yeah, so Adam, I've been doing that since like 25, 30 years ago. CRTs, so like CRTs actually, a lot of them had anti-glare filters on them. Some people may be familiar with a Sony FW900. It's a computer monitor, 24-inch. I think Linus had a video about it a couple of years ago. That's got an anti-glare on it, and I had got it used, and it had like a little scratch on it, a couple scratches. And I didn't even know back then. I wasn't really on the internet, 20 years ago. And I just pulled it apart, took it off, took the bezel off, peeled it off. I took the anti-glare off of a couple other CRTs, some widescreen ones like the XBR 910 34, and then the XBR 800. And then probably about 15 years ago, there was a lot of IPS monitors that had really thick anti-glare on there, and found out that you could actually just do a wet paper towel and take it off. And then this one here, I was like, that looks like you could just peel it off, and sure enough, you could. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I probably removed anti-glare in over like 30 TVs and monitors, and did it for a lot of other people for a while.
So we can say he's an anti-glare remover expert. And
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, obviously, but I get the purpose of it, and I totally appreciate people that do like it. I'm just not a huge fan of it.
I mean, I was so happy when I saw you doing that to the QD OLED. I was like, man, thank you so much. Like, I was not even interested in buying a QD OLED anymore because Samsung is just slapping that matte finish all over the displays. They are ruining all the TVs, in my opinion. So I was so happy that I can at least buy their QD OLEDs again because I know that's an option. If that was not an option, I would never buy a QD OLED with that matte finish. So I'm so happy to know that exists. So thank you very much.
I didn't. Sorry, I just jumped off screen for a second, so I didn't catch what you were saying. So I apologize.
I was just saying
if I'm
I was
repeating
happy
something.
the first time I saw that was possible to remove the anti-glare.
Right. So leading to my question was, why would you buy that TV if there are other OLEDs that come without it? Or is that just something you enjoy doing, removing that film? Because at least where I live, once you do something like that to the TV, there is no returning that TV. So it's kind of like, an expensive exercise.
Yeah, great question. The S90D is not really as good as S95D. I think, the 95F and 95D had the best panels for Samsung for that year. So it's kind of like getting like an RTX 5090 and comparing it to a 5080, and the 5080 isn't as good as the 5090, but there's something about the 5090 that you don't like that you could fix. It's kind of like that. So I took a gamble on it, and I gotta be honest with you, Adam. Like, the anti-glare, if you have a light controlled room, it actually was pretty good for what it was trying to do. I would argue that even in a certain lighting conditions, it may actually look more black than a glossy screen. That's the way they do it. Sorry, princess, get out of here. So it's one of those things where if the 90D and the 95D had the same panel, and the only difference was the anti-glare and maybe like some options within the TV, I wouldn't have done it. Because I think the 90D was, it's glossy, it's good, it's nice.
And have you had any issues with the One Connect box? Because I'm hearing everyone I know that's purchased one is having problems with the One Connect.
Yeah. I hadn't had any issues with a PlayStation and Xbox, but PC is the same experience I experienced with the 95C. I'm kind of having with the 95D. I'm pretty sure I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I'm pretty sure there's DSC going on here with a One Connect box when you're running at 144. And it's just it's sometimes you turn off TV, turn it back on, all of a sudden you see the spiraling thing in the middle, and it's just like when you're turning the TV and it's just like connecting and stuff. And I'm like, I never had this problem with any of my LG G series TVs or so I'm not a huge fan of the One Connect box. I think that's the biggest negative of the TV. I don't think that the 4 HDMIs are actually true full fat 48 gigabits,
They are 40. Yeah.
so that's the other problem as well.
Mm.
So, yeah, do I think that this One Connect box will last me a year or two? Probably not. Probably going to have to call Samsung and probably have them send another one. And guess what? I had Dwayne D. Nice calibrate the TV. So if that One Connect box goes out,
Yeah,
I
you're
lose all
gone.
my calibration settings. So I did go in and copy it all. The problem is that I don't know if every One Connect box is tuned to that television. And so he would have to go and redo everything anyway. I'm not really entirely sure of that. Probably will ask him that at some point. But yeah, the One Connect box is probably a ticking time bomb.
But are you getting? Yeah, I agree. I mean, that One Connect box is such a, terrible idea. It's just problems, and I don't think. See, the problem is they're trying to make the TV thin and attractive for people in general. And of course, if you wall mount the TV, it is true. I mean, it's very nice to have it perfectly flush and no. It's like a paper. It's not what people want to see, just a paper and nothing else. But it's a terrible idea. But are you getting blackouts? Like you're using the TV and
No, I did have that with the 95C though, with a 4090 RTX. I was having blackouts. I'd sit there and be playing. And matter of fact, I got blackouts even when PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X on the 95C. So I think that problem I have not seen once, but sometimes I'll turn it on and it'll be like clock, having a little color thing clocking, and I'm like, what? Why? Why is it doing that? So that's pretty annoying.
So, yeah, but good. At least good that you're not getting the games interrupted with the blackouts and all that. That's a deal breaker. If that's happening with the S95F, I would not buy
100%.
it.
100%. I was sitting there, Ariel playing a game, and it just blacks out. I'm like, what's going on?
That's bad. That's
Crazy.
really bad. But I'm not hearing that happening with the S95F or even the S95D. So it seems to be kind of fixed. I mean, if it happens once in a blue moon, it's okay. It sucks, but it's not a super deal breaker. But Adam, to answer your question, why would I buy the S95F if it has the One Connect box that I don't like? It is the matte finish. You have to go through the hassle of removing and all of that. Well, for me, that's good content for YouTube, anyway. But it's just the best TV, basically. So it's the brightest QD OLED. Very simple. So I think, people want to watch reviews, of course, and see comparisons side by side. But unless there is something terribly wrong with the calibration of the TV, like the gamma looks completely off, it is clipping, EOTF tracking is a mess. Unless the calibration is a complete mess, the decision to know what is the best TV is very simple in my opinion. What is the brightest QD OLED? That's it. You know, you just look at it on paper. This is the brightest QD OLED. Okay, that's gonna give you the best picture quality because the rest of the qualities are there. So the inherent qualities of the OLED, of the QD OLEDs, they're the same. So you may have a difference on the panel, some panel lottery, some specific, characteristics and features and, upscaling and all of that processing that people care about. But picture quality, once you have the OLED inherent qualities, the rest is just brightness. Like which one is the brightest? That's gonna give you the best quality, and the colors are the same. So QD OLEDs, the color is gonna be the same, and with more brightness, you're gonna have, higher, better color volume and all of that. So that's why I would go through the hassle getting the S95F because it's the brightest QD OLED. Very simple, and it has the highest refresh rate too. It has 165 hertz. So it's very simple. Which one is the highest refresh rate and the brightest? So yeah, it sucks to Samsung sucks. Okay, I would get an LG if they do a QD OLED, 100%, but that's not happening. So
yeah, and I hate to always. I don't know if I sound like a broken record bringing this up every time we have these discussions, but for me, I'm put into a certain category now because my OLED's an 83-inch, and I'm not going down in size. So I have the C1. I just sold my G4 83-inch because I was going to buy a G5. Then, long story short, we just had a baby, so I'm not watching much TV at the moment. So I didn't buy the G5 because there's no point if I'm not going to use it. So I'm looking towards maybe a G6. But for me, there's two issues. I had a Samsung previously, 85-inch 8K Neo QLED with a 1 Connect box, and I just had dropouts problems, and then I got dragged through for about 6 or 7 months of repairs and all this nightmare before I got my money back, and it kind of turned me off Samsung, and it turned me off the 1 Connect box. However, the main issue is once you kind of go up to a certain size of OLED, you're not going to go down a size just to get a QD OLED panel. Like, for example, if you've got a 65-inch, but they only make QDs in 55, you're not going to go and downsize your TV. That's the size you're used to, you want. I think most people would agree with that. So for me, being at that 83-inch level and having my own personal problems with Samsung I've had in the past, it's very difficult for me because there is no option for an 83-inch display. So I thought the G5 was a very strong competitor. Obviously, if you've watched all the reviews and all the TV shootouts, it's generally placed last. But when it's placing last, you still got to remember it's miles ahead of every other TV. So, you're splitting hairs to get that placement, if you understand what I'm talking about. So when you've got the Bravia 8.2 and S95F, like, yeah, it might rank last, but it's still an amazing TV. I'd be very interested to see what they do with a G6 and how they do it. But I agree with what you just said. Like, LG has been doing 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, no 1 Connect box since 2019 with the C9. I think that was the first one they started with. And I've never had an issue with an LG. Every time I've introduced a Samsung into my home theater, because I've got a receiver, HDMI 2.1 receiver, and you get all these different handshakes and links in the chain. Every time I've introduced a Samsung, I've had nothing but problems. And every time I've put an LG in there, everything has just worked fine. So I don't know what Samsung are doing, if it's all related to this 1 Connect box or they just don't have HDMI CEC down correctly. But yeah, for me, I would very much love to try a QD OLED TV. I hear nothing but great things, but I also hear horror stories. So where does that leave people like me? What would you guys suggest? I'm not going to go down in size. So where can someone
I think, what are you at 83 right now, you said?
Yeah.
So, like, when you said LG was coming in last, I mean, that's in the 65-inch, because they were, both Vincent and all of them, and the TV shootout, they use, I think, 65s across the board.
Yeah.
At 83 inches, Adam, there is nothing better than the G5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think some would argue maybe the S95F in the 83 because it's using the same panel, but again, that's got an anti-glare on it, so I guess it just depends. And you're also dealing with a Samsung, operating system and whatnot. And I'm not sure if the 83-inch. So I just
It's
watched
not
a
a
review. The
QD OLED.
Samsung S95F can go pretty bright, like over 400 nits full screen on the 83-inch. So it's pretty bright. I think Samsung's probably driving it harder than LG on the G5, but I would take the G5 over
Yeah,
this
all day. I
S95F and
mean,
83 all day, every
so
day.
I think the 83-inch S95F is the worst high-end TV, the worst of the best TVs, basically, because you have all the defects together. It's a WRGB OLED. It has a matte
Defect.
finish. No,
A
I mean,
WRGB is a
let's say,
defect.
no, let's say the downsides, okay? It has a matte finish that you cannot remove. It has a one connect box, and it is Samsung, which is is a big defect too.
Yeah, three
So
strikes, you're out.
Yeah, it's like you're out. That's the worst high-end TV in my opinion. I would not get that at all. No way.
Yeah.
Does anybody in the chat have that TV by the way? The 83 S95F? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm sorry for you. Okay, I mean it's
I'm
still
just
gonna be
curious.
good. I'm talking about the best of the best. Now we got some comments here. So hot take: OLED TVs should have display ports. I don't think that's a hot take. That's a big miss from them. Actually, Adam, you got is it TCL or Hisense? One of them have display ports.
Yeah, so when I purchased my 100-inch TV this year, there was the Hisense U7Q and then the U8Q. So the U8Q was on paper the better TV. However, because I have a PS5, a Series X, and a Switch, plus a soundbar, 3 of which are 2.1 sources, the U8Q, which is their flagship TV, only came with 3 HDMI ports and 1 display port. So for someone like me, I have no use for a display port. I want 4 HDMI ports, 2.1 ports. So for me, that was like an instant, I can't make that work. And even my soundbar wasn't a 2.1 soundbar. So that means I would be limited to 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, plus I'd be using one of them for a soundbar, and I would have to buy a brand new soundbar if I wanted to get more 2.1 ports through the soundbar. So I ended up getting a U7Q 100-inch, which turned out to be probably the worst mistake I ever made. And I'm making a video.
I'm sorry,
on that
what did you
soon.
say? You got the U7? Which one did you get?
U7Q.
Okay, and that was a lot worse than the U8?
Well, I never actually ended up purchasing the U8. I got the U7Q. However, TCL just sent me the C8K, which is the QM8K over where you guys are, the 98-inch version. So I've just made a video of the QM8 98 versus the Hisense 100-inch U7Q, and that'll be coming out next week. And the difference is, and I hate saying this, but it is night and day. It is.
Yeah, TCL is way better.
Oh,
it's got to be way better.
Man,
Because I've been looking at both of those too, Adam.